You wake up already knowing something is wrong before your alarm even finishes ringing. 16 years at Corrigan Precision Works, and in all that time, you have never once been called into Desmond Ashworth's office on a Monday morning without warning. But this morning, the message is waiting on your phone before your coffee even finishes brewing. Come see me at 9, that's all it says. No explanation, no context. Just 5 words from a man who built an empire out of turbine, brackets, and precision-machined aerospace parts. A man who once told you that you were the only person on that floor he trusted with his eyes closed. You drive to work with your daughter's voice still echoing in your ears. From breakfast, her small hands wrapped around a cereal bowl, asking you if you'd be home in time to watch her science fair project. That evening, Ren is 8 years old, and since her mother left 3 years ago, it has been just the two of you, learning how to survive on a quality control supervisor's salary and whatever overtime the plant throws your way. You told her yes, you'd be there, because you always keep that promise, no matter what. By 9:15, you're sitting across from Desmond in his glass-walled office, and there's someone else in the room. Bennett Ashworth, 26 years old, Desmond's only son, fresh off a business degree from a school you'd never heard of until he started mentioning it every other sentence. Bennett is wearing a suit that costs more than your monthly mortgage, and he's not looking at you. He's looking at his father, waiting for something. Desmond doesn't waste time with pleasantries. He tells you the company is restructuring. He tells you that Bennett will be taking over quality control operations effective immediately, that your role is being reimagined, that this is not a reflection of your work, which has always been exceptional, but a necessary transition as the company prepares for its next chapter. He says the words like he's rehearsed them, like he practiced this speech in a mirror and still couldn't make it sound like anything other than what it is. You ask him directly if you're being let go. He hesitates just long enough for you to know the answer before he says it out loud. Severance for 6 weeks, health insurance extended for 60 days, a letter of recommendation if you want one. You sit there and you feel the floor of your entire life tilt sideways because you know what this means. No income, a daughter with asthma who needs her medication refilled every month, a mortgage payment due on the 15th, and somewhere behind Desmond's guilty eyes, you see the real reason none of them are saying out loud. Bennett needs real-world experience before the board will consider him for anything bigger. And you, Weston, Calloway, are the most convenient stepping stone in the building. You don't argue, you don't beg, you've never been that kind of man. You pack 16 years of your life into 2 cardboard boxes while people on the floor pretend not to watch. And Thea Voss, the line supervisor who has worked beside you since the day you started, catches your eye from across the room with an expression that says everything words can't. On your way out, Bennett stops you at the door, and for one strange second, you think maybe he's going to say something human, something like a real apology. Instead, he asks you where you keep the calibration logs for Machine 4. You tell him the official binder is in the supervisor's office, 3rd drawer, exactly where it's always been. What you don't tell him is that the binder only tells half the story. What you don't tell him is that Machine 4 has a drift pattern that no manual accounts for, a subtle shift in tolerance that happens with humidity changes in the building, something you discovered 11 years ago after a batch of turbine brackets came back from Halgrove Aerospace, with a defect rate that nearly ended the company's biggest contract. You built a private system after that, a personal log you kept in a notebook in your own handwriting, a system nobody ever asked you to explain because nobody ever needed to. Until now, and nobody asks. The first week without a job feels like drowning in slow motion. You apply to 4 different manufacturing plants within driving distance. You sit at your kitchen table at night after Ren falls asleep, running numbers that don't add up no matter how many times you rearrange them. But you don't tell your daughter any of this. You still get up every morning, make her breakfast, walk her to the bus stop, and act like the ground beneath both of you is solid. 3 days into your second week of unemployment, Thea calls you. She doesn't waste time on small talk either. She tells you that Bennett changed the maintenance schedule on the CNC machines, that he brought in some efficiency consultant who convinced him the recalibration checks you used to run every 11 days were unnecessary overhead, a waste of labor hours that could be optimized. She tells you this in a voice that's trying not to sound worried and failing. You don't say "I told you so," because you're not that kind of man either. You just ask her to be careful, to flag anything that looks off, and to keep her head down. You hang up the phone and sit in the dark kitchen for a long time, staring at nothing, feeling something twist in your chest that you can't quite name. Not satisfaction, not yet, something closer to dread. 2 weeks later, the first crack appears, though nobody outside the plant knows it yet. A shipment to Hallgrove Aerospace is delayed by 4 days because of what the internal memo calls a minor recalibration issue on Machine 4. Thea tells you about it over the phone, her voice tighter than before. Bennett brushed it off as a fluke. He told the floor crew that machines break down sometimes, that it's not worth losing sleep over. What he doesn't know, what none of them know, is that Machine 4 doesn't break down randomly. It drifts predictably, the way it always has, the way you'd learn to read like a second language over 11 patient years. You start driving past the plant sometimes on your way to job interviews that go nowhere. You tell yourself, it's just on the way, but you know that's not entirely true. You still care about that building, about the people inside it, about Thea and Marcus in shipping, and old Delphine who's worked the front desk since before you were even hired. You care despite everything, and that caring sits uncomfortably next to the anger you're trying not to feel toward Desmond, toward Bennett, toward a system that decided institutional loyalty means nothing when it's inconvenient. 3 weeks after your last day, you're at the kitchen table filling out yet another job application when your phone rings with a number you don't recognize. It's Priscilla Nash, the HR director at Corrigan. Her voice is clipped, professional, careful in the way people are when they're calling about something they'd rather not be calling about at all. She tells you there's been a situation at the plant and asks if you'd be willing to come in for a conversation. You ask her what kind of situation. She tells you it would be better discussed in person. You almost say no. Some old, proud part of you wants to tell her that you have nothing left to give a company that discarded you the moment convenience demanded it. But then you think of Thea's voice on the phone, tighter each time you talk. You think of Marcus and Delphine and the 80-some families whose paychecks depend on that plant staying open. And underneath all of it, quietly, you think of your own daughter and the fact that whatever situation this is might be the only leverage you'll ever get. You arrive at Corrigan Precision Works 40 minutes later, and the building feels different somehow, tense in a way you can't quite explain until you walk onto the floor and see it for yourself. Machine 4 is shut down, cordoned off with yellow tape, like a crime scene. Bennett is standing near it, arguing quietly with 2 men in Hallgrove Aerospace jackets, his face pale in a way you've never seen before. Desmond is there too, standing off to the side, looking older than he did 3 weeks ago. Priscilla walks you into the same glass-walled office where you were let go, and this time it's Desmond who explains everything, his voice stripped of all its earlier rehearsed calm. A batch of turbine brackets shipped to Hallgrove 8 days ago. Failed secondary inspection during installation, not a minor issue. A dimensional tolerance failure that could have caused catastrophic vibration stress in the assembly, the kind of defect that gets a supplier permanently blacklisted from aerospace contracts, the kind of defect that ends up in federal safety reports if it isn't caught in time. Hallgrove caught it in time, barely. And now, they're threatening to pull their entire contract, 40% of Corrigan's annual revenue, unless the company can prove within 72 hours exactly what went wrong and how it will never happen again. You sit there listening, and something cold settles into your stomach, because you already know exactly what went wrong. You knew it 3 weeks ago when Bennett stopped you at the door and asked about a binder that only told half a story. Desmond asks you directly, his voice almost pleading now, if you have any idea what could have caused this. You look at him for a long moment before you answer, because this is the moment you realize where everything either changes or it doesn't. You tell him the truth. You tell him about the humidity-driven drift pattern on Machine 4, about the private log you kept for 11 years, about the recalibration schedule that existed nowhere in any official document, because nobody ever asked you to write it down, because it was simply something you did, quietly and reliably, the way you'd done everything at that company. You tell him that when Bennett changed the maintenance schedule, he wasn't cutting unnecessary overhead. He was removing the one safeguard that had kept Machine 4 from ever failing in over a decade. Desmond's face changes as you speak, the color draining from it in slow stages, like watching a man realize the size of a mistake in real time. Bennett, who has walked in partway through your explanation, doesn't say anything at all. He just stands there, and for the first time since you met him, he looks like a 26-year-old who has no idea what he's doing, rather than a man pretending otherwise. You could walk away right then. Some part of you wants to let them sit in the consequences of a decision that was never yours to begin with. But you think about Thea, about Marcus, about Delphine, about 80 families who had nothing to do with any of this. And you think about Ren, waiting at home, and what it would mean for her if her father was the kind of man who let pride get in the way of doing what's right. Even for people who wronged him, you tell Desmond you'll help, but not for free, and not on the old terms. You tell him that if you come back, it's not as a supervisor who gets pushed out the moment someone more convenient comes along. You want a real position, Director of Quality Operations, with authority that can't be overridden by a family name. You want it in writing, and you want Bennett to work under you, not around you, learning the floor the way everyone else had to learn it, starting from the actual bottom instead of skipping to the top. Desmond doesn't hesitate. He agrees to everything before you even finish outlining the terms, and for a moment, you see something in his face that looks almost like relief, like a man who has been given an unexpected second chance to fix more than just a broken machine. You spend the next 36 hours barely sleeping. You recalibrate Machine 4 by hand, checking measurements against your old private notebook, rebuilding the exact tolerance profile that Bennett's consultant had dismissed as unnecessary. Thea works alongside you without complaint, staying late into the night, and somewhere around 2 in the morning, Bennett shows up too, still in yesterday's clothes, and asks quietly if he can help. You could turn him away. Instead, you hand him a micrometer and start teaching him, step by step, exactly how the machine's drift pattern works, exactly why it matters, exactly what happens to real people when shortcuts get taken with something this precise. By the time Hellgrove's engineers arrive for their 72-hour deadline, you're the one who walks them through the entire corrected process, showing them the data, showing them the new, documented calibration schedule that will now exist in writing for the first time in company history. You answer every question directly, honestly, without spin, because you've learned that trust rebuilt through honesty is the only kind that actually holds. Hellgrove's lead engineer, a sharp-eyed woman named Odalise Ferreira, listens to everything, examines every measurement herself, and finally tells Desmond that they'll continue the contract, but only under the condition that you personally oversee quality operations going forward. Desmond agrees without a second's hesitation. That evening, you drive home in the fading light, and for the first time in 3 weeks, the tightness in your chest has finally loosened. You walk through your front door to find Ren sitting at the kitchen table, her science fair project spread out in front of her, glancing anxiously at the clock because she thought, once again, that you might not make it home in time. But you did. You sit down beside her, and she starts explaining her project about plant growth and light exposure, and you listen to every word like it's the most important thing in the world, because in this moment, it is. Later that night, after she's asleep, You sit at the same kitchen table where you once filled out job applications in the dark, and you think about how close you came to losing everything, and how strange it is that the very thing that got you pushed out, your quiet, unglamorous expertise, ended up being the only thing that could save the people who pushed you out in the first place. You think about Bennett, who texted you earlier that night, a short, humble message asking what time you wanted him on the floor tomorrow morning. You think about second chances, the ones you almost didn't get, and the ones you almost didn't give. You turn off the kitchen light and walk down the hallway to check on Ren one last time before bed. She's sleeping peacefully, her science project trophy already sitting proudly on her nightstand. First place, earned entirely on her own. You stand in the doorway for a moment, watching her breathe, and you realize that everything you fought to protect these past 3 weeks was never really about a job title or a company's reputation. It was about being the kind of man your daughter could look up to, the kind who doesn't disappear when things get hard, the kind who rebuilds what's broken instead of walking away from it. You close her door quietly, and for the first time in a long time, you sleep without the weight of uncertainty pressing down on your chest, because tomorrow, for the first time in your career, you're not just walking back onto that floor, you're walking back in charge of it, on your own terms, with your dignity fully intact, and a company that finally understands exactly what it almost lost.
Sometimes the people who give the most to a company or to a family are the ones who get overlooked the fastest, but truth always finds its way back. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs a little hope today, and hit subscribe because we are just getting started.